know everyone has a lot of questions, so I'm going to answer all of them. Yes, I was sick for 4 months. Oh, I was sick before that. So I was having issues eating, and I would get pain a few hours later, and they said it was my gallbladder. So in June, I had my gallbladder taken out. Since then, I was having complications with blockages, and they thought it was still my stomach. So for the next 3 months, I was working with a GI specialist who was scheduling his appointments out for weeks to try to figure out what was wrong with me. And I waited, which is a no. If you're having problems and the doctor's not listening to you, you should probably go get a second opinion. But I didn't. So I waited, and basically for the next 4 months, I would not eat for 3 days. I would eat something like a soup or something, and then the whole next day I would be sick and like violent throwing up and pain, and it was just awful for like ever. So I wouldn't eat again. So I would not eat for 2 more days, 3 more days, and I would function and be just fine. I did this for that whole time, all the way until recently. From June to October, I went from 155 pounds to 120 pounds. Now that's about 23% of my body weight, and anything over 5 of unexplained weight loss is a red signal. Like, you're not supposed to lose that much, but the doctor didn't seem to care. I told him of all of my symptoms and issues, and he was so blasé about it, I thought it was nothing. And I even went to a point where I asked him if I should go to the ER, and he said, well, you could, but they'll probably just give you fluids and send you home. He actually discouraged me from getting a second opinion and going in, which is why it took me longer to go somewhere else. And after his test came back negative and he had no idea what he was doing, I finally said, I'm getting a second opinion. So I went to UCLA, Porter Ranch, and I got an appointment the next Monday, and I think I called on a Wednesday. So next Monday I was in, and she listened to me, and she had me in a colonoscopy on Wednesday, so 2 days later. And during the colonoscopy, she found that my small intestine was shut, like closed, like nothing going through. So obviously when I'm eating, things are going, and they stop, they have nowhere to go, so they kind of jostle around, all that pain, build-up, bloating, and then everything comes back up. And that's what was happening, because nothing was getting through. So she sent me for like a few more tests and imaging, and she needed to confirm her diagnosis. After she got all the test results back, she called me Friday evening around 6 p.m. and she said, I'm not liking the test results I'm getting back. I don't like the imaging that I just got back, and I know you're not going to be happy about this, but I want you to go to the hospital. I was like, I hate hospitals. I hate hospitals. But I said, okay, the doctor's calling me, telling me to go into the hospital. I should go. So I took a shower, got ready, went to the hospital that evening, told them exactly what she said to tell them, and they admitted me that night to start all their pre-workups so that she could start treating me the next day. So she says I have Chrons, which is basically where your intestines swell up and malfunction. Okay, that's pretty much it. So for the next 3 days, I was in the hospital giving a really high dose of steroids. And it opened up my intestines enough that, this is going to sound disgusting, it opened up my intestines enough that air and liquid could get through, which is an improvement considering the fact that it was closed and nothing was getting through for 3 months. At least a solid 3 months of nothing. Which was good because when I went in, I looked 4 months pregnant, like 6 months pregnant-ish. And when I left, my stomach was back to normal, which was good. She wanted me to stay in the hospital until I could have surgery. And I said no, because surgery wasn't going to be for a week. And I didn't want to sit in the hospital for a week. And I said, because because I can hold down fluids, can I just go home and drink Ensure and just drink broths and stuff, just like I would be here in the hospital. I'll keep taking the steroids at home. Let me wait for surgery at home. And she was like, if you leave the hospital, surgery gets pushed out. And I was like, well, as long as I can survive, sure. So I did. They let me out on Monday at 1 p.m. and I got to come home. And I did. I came home and I was on a liquid diet for the rest of the week, which was good. It worked. Monday I had a follow-up with her, and she said I should have been able to eat a sandwich by now. My intestines with the steroids should have opened enough for me to eat a sandwich. So I had rice, which is not a sandwich, but it's still a carb. That night I was beyond sick, and Tuesday I was awful, and Wednesday it was back to throwing up and everything. It was disgusting. And so I didn't eat for the rest of Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, because throwing up, you don't want to eat. So I did this starving thing again. Then on Thursday, when I was at work, I was at a meeting after we had a drill for the shakeout, and I was at a meeting, and I fainted because my body just shut down. So I said, okay, that was my flag. So I had to go back to the hospital. So I would spend the next 8 days in the hospital getting prepped for surgery, having surgery, and then doing recovery afterwards. Because of how degraded I was and how much damage there was, they ended up putting in a PICC line. There's a picture of it where basically instead of putting the IV in your arms, they will put it in your main vein, which is right here. And it has a tube that comes into your heart. And that gives you direct medicine into your body. So I had to get a PICC line. They did a few more scans. They hooked me up to IV nutrition, magnesium, potassium, all that stuff, antibiotics, steroids. Okay. They had to get me physically and medically ready for surgery. On Tuesday, I had the surgery. So the surgery was 5.5 hours long. Generally, it's 1 to 4 hours, but given the intensity of mine and how much they took out and the fact that they had to do an ileostomy, it was a little bit longer. So I got through the surgery just fine. They did very well. Their incisions look very nice. Like, they made sure to line them up. They didn't mess with my belly button. Like, it's good. Like, we're okay. During surgery, my heart dropped quite a bit and it scared them. So for the next 2 days, I was hooked up to an EKG, which means on top of the IV cart full of stuff that was hooked up to my PICC line, I also had like wires all over my chest watching my heart rate for the next 2 days. So then I had like this heavy little like battery pack that was also in my shirt to power it and to transmit the information. So it was awful trying to walk around and go to the bathroom, but they needed to monitor me. So I was quick to recover because you know me, don't want to be in the hospital. So I was up, moving around, and off the pain meds and everything quickly so that I could get going. By Friday, I was able to be released at 3 p.m. and come home. So I was like, yay, finally. But as you know, because of all the damage and the extensive work that they did, taking out that huge chunk of intestine, they took out 3 inches of my small intestine, part of my large intestine, and my appendix, which happens to be attached in the middle. So basically a chunk like this out of my system. So in order to let the 2 pieces that they left attach and function, I had to get an ileostomy, which is pretty much where they take your small intestine, pull it up through your abdomen, attach it to the outside of your stomach, and then open it up so that when you eat, everything, once it gets to that point, comes out before it finishes the rest of the track and goes down, which sounds gross, and it kind of is, but it allows the rest of your system to heal, considering they just took out such a large chunk. I'm going to be stuck with the ileostomy for 4 months. 3 with good behavior, hopefully, but 4 months. And I know everyone has so many questions about the ileostomy, so I'm going to answer those. This is your small intestine, and it's all like wrapped around, right? Okay, so this is your abdomen wall. So if we take your intestine and pull it up, and we're going to slide it through your abdomen wall like this, and then we're going to slice it open. So you're basically just going to cut it like this. Dink. Okay? So now your intestine's outside your stomach, and when things come up the tube, when it gets here, it just comes out into a bag. Basically, you have a bag that's glued or like stuck onto your stomach to catch everything that comes out. So the rest of your system's not in play. It's just there to heal while, it's just there to heal. Okay, so anyways, this is what an ileostomy is. I will be posting pictures about it. They gave me a whole book on it. They've given me like so many papers on how this works and stuff. But basically, I'll be posting pictures of what an ileostomy is on my Facebook page if you want to know. This is what the stoma looks like. It's just your intestine attached to your abdomen. So because I have this, and because of the extent of the surgery and my malnutrition and my weight loss and everything, they have me on a really strict diet of eating everything I can, except for raw vegetables, raw fruit, salads, and stuff like that I can't digest because the rest of my system is not in play. I can only eat certain foods, which is basically all the carbs and sugary and salt foods that you're not supposed to have. That's what I can have. I also have a home nurse. So I have people that come and check on me because the hospital wants to make sure I'm doing well. So I have a nurse that comes and checks my situation to make sure there's no infection. I have a physical trainer that comes and makes sure I'm not bending wrong or not working out or like damaging myself because I have a tendency to overdo it and they want to make sure everything heals properly. So I have a physical trainer that comes. And every night I have to give myself a shot of Lovenox because surgery was so intense and for so long that I'm on blood thinners. So that's fun. And I'm still on steroids, like a whole bunch of steroids for quite a while because you can't just stop taking them, so you have to wean yourself off. And for the ileostomy, it comes with a whole gamut of at-home care. This is what the bag looks like. So remember, you have your intestine on the outside of your abdomen. So you need a bag to basically cover it, this way, cover it so that it catches whatever you eat. Now obviously stomas are not this big. They're intestines, so they're like, big. They have this backing so that you can cut it to the opening of whatever size you are. So you'll cut it, and then it's a sticker, and then they have like paste and stuff to make a better barrier and everything. Mine's right here. There's a picture of me pre-surgery that has a X on it. That X is where they install the stoma. So this, after you cut it, you put it on, and basically just sticks to your body. And you can wear your regular clothes. Like I'm wearing regular clothes right now. And you can tell, because obviously I'm flat, but this is not. So you can tell it's right there. So I have mine on. I have this holding it there. And this is a binder. Basically it's like a corset that has a hole. So like a 3-inch diameter hole so that my stoma is not compressed because you can't press on it. You can't lean against counters. You can't smush it. So this brace helps hold in my abdomen because they, cut my abs open. So I have the brace, and then this holds my whole packaging flush. And then you just put your shirt on. And then it's cold down here, so I have a shawl as well. And so for the most part, unless someone is staring close closely, or if you wear like a little looser shirt, you can't really tell it's there, which is good. But then of course it fills up when you have to go to the restroom, and that's a whole nother ordeal going to the bathroom with this thing. It's very interesting. But in a nutshell, that's what an ileostomy is. Intestine outside the body, uses a bag. Things you cannot eat while you have an ileostomy. So interesting enough, you cannot have broccoli, nuts, leaves like lettuce or cabbage or anything of those sorts, peppers, vegetables with their skins on. You have to skin your vegetables and cook them to like a mush if you want to eat vegetables. No raw fruits, no whole grains, no oatmeal, no wheat, no barley, no high fiber anything, no seeds, no spicy chunks. Like some people like the pepper, when you grind your pepper, it's like chunky. You can't have that. You can't have meat with casings, so no hot dogs, no sausages, stuff like that. No beans whatsoever. No quinoa, no brown rice, no buckwheat, no corn. People cannot digest corn in a good day. People with ileostomies absolutely cannot digest corn. Carrots, not either, even cooked, because I know. And salads, no dried fruits. Here's the caveat. No popcorn. That means no popcorn until January. And that is my thing. And that is the one food I am upset about not being able to have. So unfortunately, my wine popcorn evening with my show is now just my 4-ounce wine and water and show and chips. Because they want you to eat lots of chips, lots of salt on everything, because we get dehydrated really easy because we're not absorbing any of our water. So I have to drink coconut water, Gatorade, salt on everything to just retain water. And I have to eat every hour, which is hard, because when you went 4 months without eating, now eating constantly is very hard to do and very time consuming, and I'm not hungry, but I have to. And then I have to keep drinking my Ensures, because we need tons of protein to fix everything and just to have energy. And I cannot lose weight. And right now I'm using a lot of energy walking around and healing, that if I'm not eating enough and I lose weight, they'll put me back in the hospital. So I'm avoiding that by eating. So that's my update in a nutshell. I'm sorry it took so long. I thought it was going to be a 5-minute video, but that's as fast as I could do it. That is most of the questions everyone has been wondering and asking, and those are the updates. I am going to post on Facebook all the photos. The photos will have captions that is describing what's happening in the photo and the transition between. And from here on out, I'll keep it updated for the most part. I'm not going to inundate Facebook with just my issues, obviously. I'm still going to post about my kids and my normal stuff, but I know everyone was wanting to know. No one knew before. My parents didn't even know. I did keep it quiet, and everyone got kind of mad about that. So now you all know. And if you have any questions, leave comments and I will answer them. And maybe I will do an updated video on my situation if everyone wants.